On a Harley-Davidson, it's very easy to adjust the carburetor control cables because the adjustment is at the handlebar. So this is the throttle cable and this is the idle cable. Unfortunately, when folks adjust these cables, they often do this incorrectly. When the adjustment happens, what I very often see is that people adjust the throttle cable first. To take up the slack. And then, when the slack is taken up, we end up with the following situation. So you can see that there's actually contact between the butterfly actuator and a tab on the body of the carb. And what this can create is a lot of stress on the cable, which could cause the ball end of the cable to break off. Now, if we look at the way the idle cable is constructed, we can see that there's a little spring in front of the ball end. And so this is the idle cable right here. Of course, you can't see the spring because it's in the socket right here. But the reason for providing the spring is to preserve the ball end of the idle cable. As I'm shutting off the throttle, you can see what's happening. There's a little bit of cushion that the spring provides so that if I choose to slam the grip shut, the impact on the ball ends is not as heavy. So right now you can see, as far as the throttle cable is concerned, that is not happening. So the way I do the adjustment is as follows. So let me loosen. Well, actually, before I loosen it, let me demonstrate something. This requires a very expensive special tool, which is just a piece of paper. And so what we can do is insert this piece of paper between the butterfly actuator and this tab and just twist the grip all the way. So you can see that I can't pull this piece of paper out because the actuator is slamming against the tab very hard. So what we need to do instead is adjust the throttle cable so that there's a tiny little gap between the actuator and this tab on the body of the carb. So you can see that when I twist the grip fully, I can actually pull this piece of paper out. So I know that my butterfly is fully open, yet it's not slamming against this tab. So at this point, the ball ends on my throttle cable are protected, but if you look at the grip, I still have a lot of play. And the way to remove this play is now by adjusting the idle cable adjuster until the play is gone. So I'm going to adjust the idle cable. So I'm just checking for play. So I removed all the play and you can see that the grip is functioning smoothly. Now what's going to happen if I continue to adjust the idle cable? Eventually it's going to bind because basically both cables now are pulling in different directions on the grip. So what I need to do is back it off just until it's operating smoothly and there's no contact between the actuator or the butterfly valve and the tab on the carburetor. And of course, as I mentioned before, the idle cable ball ends are already protected because there's a spring that's been designed into this mechanism.